Hey y'all, it's Christy from Teadoddles. For today's Tuesday tutorial, I'm going to be going over some things for the upcoming X's and O's Valentine's cowl. This is a scarf, and it is based off of a pattern that I did. I did a pattern for a pixelated heart, a pixel and lace heart scarf, I think. And I'll link that original blog post down below. And I think I did some tutorials for that, video tutorials too, and I'll link those down below. So this is following the same premise. It's just we're putting puff stitches and X stitches in the hearts instead of just straight corner to corner, because this is a corner to corner. So if you've ever done a graph with a heart that has corner to corner, we're just doing the heart minus the background. So, and on Friday, I will have a, this Friday, it was supposed to be last Friday. I got hung up with some things. But so this coming Friday, we will have, I will kick off the cowl, and I'll have a video tutorial over the crochet stitches and everything like that, okay? There will be prize at the end, and I'll go into more detail about that on Friday. Well, I can talk about that now. We'll have a hashtag, and you can use that hashtag to tag me on social media. You can post it in my Facebook group, Teadoddles Makers, which I'll be having a challenge going on for February in that group as well. So you can use the cowl for that challenge and kind of double dip, as they say. So, and there'll be a prize, which I will show on Friday, because this will end shortly after Valentine's Day. I've got to look at the calendar for the date, but I'll have more details on Friday when it officially kicks off. So this is more about using different yarn sizes for the cowl if you choose to, or for other projects you may have. Sometimes you can use different yarn sizes, weights for a project. You'll just end up with a bigger product or a smaller product. And you'll have to change your hook size, obviously. But if you're doing, sometimes you can make adjustments to keep things to be the same size, even though you're using a different yarn size, if that makes sense. So I'm going to talk about that today, because the yarn I'll be using for the cowl is this Wool Ease DK Cake, which is a number 3 yarn. Okay, so all of my stitch tutorials and my pattern will be for DK weight yarn and the hook size I recommend. And so this is basically, we're going to make several of these. So you'll have an O section and an X section, and we'll go on. And I'm swapping the yarns back and forth. So if you want to participate in the cowl, it's best to have 2 contrasting yarns. My original pattern, the yarns I used weren't very contrasting, and I showed you how to do surface crochet to make a line to make it look more like a heart, and I did a lace border. This one will have a border, but it'll be a little different. So yeah, and you can make these separately and then join them at the end, or you can join as you go. So we'll go over all of that when I do kick it off officially on Friday. So if you have, this is DK weight. Now here's an example of if you made the pattern exactly as I have it written, of what it would look like in number 4 worsted weight. You can see that the heart is quite a bit bigger, and that's okay if you want it to be bigger. If you want your whole scarf to be bigger, there's nothing wrong with that. But this is what a difference a size of yarn can make in the same pattern. Like I said, this is a DK weight, and this is a very, to me, this is a very small DK weight, almost to a number 2. It's very thin and lightweight, so I don't know how others feel about that, but it just seems a lot thinner. You can even see the difference here in the 2 yarns, and I hope that's focusing. The thickness of the yarns, okay? So this looks like it's about half the size of this one, and it really shouldn't be that much smaller in my opinion, but that's the way that yarn is. So if you used a worsted weight, and this is a Vanna's Choice from Lion brand, this is how big the heart will be if you just followed my pattern. Okay, so now next I'm going to show you, this is a bulky weight. Now this says it's a number 6, but again, this is a very lightweight 6 to me, compared to the 4 and the 3. I feel like this is probably closer to a number 5 in my opinion, but that's what the yarn label has it listed as, is a number 6. This is a Sprightly Yarns, which used to be a yarn by Craftsy. They don't make this anymore. So this is the pattern I have adjusted to make it closer to the size of this yarn, this heart. Now it's not exactly the same size, but it is much closer to the size than the one that I made straight from the pattern. If I made this in this bulky yarn straight from the pattern, it would be even bigger than this, which is number 4 weight. So in this one, what I did is I just adjusted where I started decreasing. Okay, on this one, after I had 10 boxes, that's what I call the boxes of corner to corner crochet, then I started decreasing. Okay, and I also, to give me a deeper V, because it looked funny with just one little decrease for the V like this one, I started the V 2 rows below where the peak is. Okay, and on this one it was only 1 row below where the peak is, and I started decreasing after I had, let's see, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 6. Is it 5 or 6? I'm losing track of it. It has to be 6, because you always want to end on an even row when you start decreasing, if you adjust this corner to corner pattern. So I'm going to show you in a graph, and hopefully this doesn't make your eyes cross. This is how I do my sketching. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. I hope y'all can see it. Y'all may not be able to even see that, but this is what I charted up to make my pattern in the first place. So when I say boxes, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 boxes to get it to the width I wanted for the original pattern. So since I was using a bulky weight for this one, it's always got to end on an even row of boxes. Okay, you can't end on an odd row, because then you won't wind up where you have a center box to live out, right? See how this is centered. If I ended on an odd row, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, when I come in on here, I have a center peak. We want a center dip. Okay, that's why you need to end. That's why you need to start decreasing on an even row. So you can use this graph paper like this one. This one in particular, the lines are too dark for me. That was all they had at the store at the time. I use this a lot for laying out patterns like this, or just laying out any kind of crochet pattern, or sometimes quilting patterns and things like that too. I do with this graphic. So this is very useful to lay things out so you can kind of see better what it's going to look like. And as I said, I ended this one at row 6. 1, 2, 3. So it was right here. So this one doesn't have as many rows of bobbles. It only has, the last row of bobbles is 4, and that's the row I started decreasing on, so that I could get to a center peak and have it to be about the same size as my original work. So you can do that if you want it to be the same size as the one I'm working on, or you can just follow the standard pattern and you'll just have a bigger heart than I have. Your heart will be bigger than mine. So that's just something I wanted to say. When you're choosing your yarn, you can use any yarn you want to. The only example I don't have here is like a sock weight or number 2, those are very small yarns. In that case, if you wanted it to be bigger, you would add more boxes. So you wouldn't stop at 10, you maybe go up to 12 or even 14 boxes before you start your decrease, so that you can have it this size. Or you can just have a much narrower scarf. So that is my tip or tutorial for today. It does pertain to the cowl coming up on Friday, but hopefully you'll find this useful for other things that you do in crochet. And like I said, I will have more details about the cowl and everything coming up on Friday. I will also be doing a blog post so that you can have a pattern that you can look at. It is a free pattern, and the blog post will have the whole written out pattern for each heart. The pattern's basically the same. It's just we use puffs in this one and X's in this one. And even though you can't see, I wanted to be able to see these X's. I spent so much time trying to get these X's to show up better. I think I figured it out what I did. You can still tell there's a difference there. You kind of have to look to notice the X, but it's there. So I hope y'all will join me for this, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.